The pain had been there all evening, sharp and burning beneath silk and lace, but she had learned how to carry pain the way other women carried jewels. Quietly, invisibly, with a smile that never cracked. Still, as the orchestra swelled and crystal light fractured across the Royal Plaza Ballroom, something inside her finally broke. Her breath came shallow, the room tilted, faces blurred into streaks of color and judgment. Hidden beneath her gown, fresh bruises screamed with every movement. Her father's voice still rang in her ears, cold and precise, delivered hours earlier behind the closed doors of the Russell townhouse. Secure the wealthiest suitor tonight. Do not disappoint me again. Midnight was his deadline. Failure had consequences she knew too well. Yvonne lifted her chin, as she had been trained to do since childhood. At 24, she was no naive girl. She had survived 6 brutal social seasons, each one sharper than the last. She had learned how to laugh on command, how to charm men twice her age, how to hide shaking hands inside embroidered gloves. She had learned how to stand very still when struck, how to keep silent when pain bloomed across her skin. But standing still was no longer possible. Across the ballroom, through a sea of silk and jewels, she felt eyes on her. Not the hungry appraisal of suitors or the bored cruelty of society women, but something sharper. Steadier, she found him without knowing why. Harry Quinn, Duke of Kendal. He stood apart from the crowd, tall and composed, his steel-gray eyes fixed on her, as if the rest of the room had vanished. He did not smile, he did not look away. It was as though he could see straight through the painted perfection she wore like armor. The floor surged upward. Yvonne's knees buckled, her strength vanishing in a single, terrifying moment. The ballroom gasped as one. She braced for the cold cruelty of marble, for the humiliation of collapse. Instead, strong arms caught her mid-fall. The shock of it stole her breath. She was pressed against a solid chest, warm and steady, carrying the faint scent of sandalwood and winter rain. A hand firm at her back, another cradling her shoulders, holding her as if she weighed nothing at all. "I have you," a deep voice murmured near her hair, calm, certain, "and I will not let you fall again." The world did not right itself, but it slowed. The spinning eased just enough for her to register where she was. In the Duke of Kendal's arms, in the center of the ballroom, surrounded by hundreds of watching eyes. Yvonne tried to pull away out of instinct, out of fear, but her body betrayed her. She trembled, exhaustion finally demanding its price. The Duke did not loosen his hold. Whispers rippled outward like fire across dry grass. Harry Quinn lifted his head and spoke, his voice low but carrying with effortless authority. "She stays with me." The words sliced clean through the noise. Lord Ambrose Russell pushed through the crowd, his face flushed with controlled fury. To anyone else he looked like a worried father. Yvonne knew better. She felt his anger like a blade at her back. "Your Grace," her father said smoothly, "my daughter is unwell. I will take her home at once." "No." The single word stopped him cold. Harry Quinn did not raise his voice. He did not need to. "Lady Yvonne will recover at Kendal House, under the care of my personal physician. You may call upon her tomorrow, after she has rested." The ballroom held its breath. Yvonne felt her father's gaze bore into her, promising punishment later, promising consequences. Her fingers curled into the Duke's waistcoat without permission, clinging as if he were the only solid thing left in the world. Harry Quinn felt it. His grip tightened slightly, not possessive, but protective. As he carried her toward the doors, Yvonne realized something terrifying and hopeful all at once. This was not polite concern. This was defiance. The Duke was challenging her father openly, in front of all of society. The night air struck her face as he descended the marble steps, cool and sharp. She tried to speak, to insist she could walk, to salvage what little dignity remained to her. "The scandal," she whispered weakly. "Please, it will ruin you." "It will not," he replied calmly, "and even if it did, it would be worth it." Behind them her father's voice rang out, loud and desperate. "Kendall, this is madness. She belongs with her family." Harry did not slow. "Your daughter requires care from someone who sees her as a person, not a tool." The carriage door opened. He settled her inside with astonishing gentleness, careful of every movement, as if he knew her body hurt, even if she had never said a word. When he climbed in across from her, the carriage lurched forward, carrying them away from the only life she had ever known. Silence filled the space between them. Yvonne pressed back into the velvet seat, her heart racing. She had spent her entire life managing men's expectations, anticipating their anger, shaping herself to survive them. Sitting across from the Duke of Kendall, she felt stripped of every practiced defense. "Forgive me," she said quietly, staring at her gloved hands. "I have caused you trouble. If you would just take me home, I can explain to my father." "Look at me," Harry said. The command was gentle but unyielding. She raised her eyes. "I am not taking you home," he said. "I am taking you somewhere safe. No one will lay another hand on you without your permission. Do you understand?" Tears burned behind her eyes. Kindness had always been more dangerous to her than cruelty. "You don't understand what my father can do." A faint, humorless smile touched his mouth. "I understand exactly what men like him do, and I understand how to stop them." His gaze dropped to her side as her hand drifted unconsciously toward her ribs. Something dark flashed in his eyes, gone almost as soon as it appeared. "How long?" he asked softly. She did not answer at first. Silence had been her shield for years, but something about the quiet certainty in his voice cracked it open. "Since my mother died," she whispered, 5 years ago." He became worse. Or maybe he always was. The carriage rolled through gaslit streets as her words spilled out, shaky and broken. She spoke of expectations and punishments, of bruises hidden beneath silk, of fear disguised as obedience. She spoke until her voice failed her. Harry listened without interruption. When they arrived at Kendall House, its pale stone facade glowing with warm light, Yvonne felt a strange ache in her chest. Hope, sharp and frightening. Inside, servants moved with silent efficiency. A physician was summoned, orders were given, boundaries were set. No visitors without permission. Not even her father. In the quiet of the blue suite, as her corset was loosened and pain stole her breath, the truth could no longer be hidden. Bruises in shades of purple and yellow mapped her ribs, her arms, her shoulders. Evidence of cruelty laid bare. Harry saw it all. His face went still, the way the air stills before a storm. "You will never go back to him," he said, his voice controlled but fierce. "Not while I live." Yvonne curled inward, ashamed and terrified. "You will regret this." "I am not worth the trouble." Harry knelt before her so their eyes were level. "You are worth every trouble," he said. And more. Later, as she lay in a clean bed beneath soft covers, exhaustion dragging her toward sleep, she watched him stand guard by the fire, silent, steady, unmoving. For the first time in years, Yvonne closed her eyes without fear. And somewhere, deep inside her, a dangerous thought took root. What if this was not the beginning of her ruin, but the beginning of her escape? Yvonne woke to voices echoing through Kendall House. For a heartbeat, terror seized her, her body tensed, bracing for pain that did not come. Then memory rushed back. The ballroom, the fall, strong arms. The Duke's voice telling her she would not fall again. She sat up slowly, her ribs protesting with a dull ache. Pale winter light filtered through tall windows, softer than any morning she remembered. She was not in her childhood room. She was not in her father's house. She was safe. The voices below grew clearer as she wrapped a robe around herself and moved toward the door. One voice she knew too well, calm on the surface. Sharp beneath, her father. "I demand to see my daughter immediately." Yvonne froze. Her pulse thundered in her ears as memories rose unbidden. Doors slammed shut, footsteps in the hall. The sound of anger measured and precise. Then another voice answered, low and controlled. "This is my home. You will lower your voice or leave it." "Harry!" Yvonne's hand trembled against the doorframe. Every instinct screamed at her to intervene, to go downstairs, to soothe the situation before it exploded. That had always been her role. The peacekeeper, the shield. But her ribs burned as if warning her what obedience had cost. She stayed where she was. From the top of the staircase, she could see the entrance hall below. Her father stood rigid in his tailored coat, fury barely restrained. Harry faced him with quiet authority, his posture relaxed but unyielding. "She is my daughter," Lord Russell said. "Whatever illness caused last night's spectacle can be managed privately." "How curious," Harry replied. "You speak of illness while ignoring the injuries covering her body." Silence fell heavy. Yvonne's breath caught. Her father laughed sharply. "My daughter bruises easily, always has. Do cracked ribs bruise easily as well?" Harry took one step closer. Do hand-shaped marks form by accident? For the first time in Yvonne's life, she saw fear flicker across her father's face. "You overstep," Lord Russell snapped. "This does not concern you." "It concerns me," Harry said, "because she collapsed in my arms, because I saw the truth written on her skin, and because she will remain here until she decides otherwise." Yvonne's knees weakened. Not from fear this time, but from the weight of hearing someone speak her truth aloud. Her father's gaze swept upward, locking onto her at the top of the stairs. Calculation burned in his eyes, the same look she had seen every time he decided how best to control her. Harry shifted slightly, placing himself between them. "She will not come down," he said quietly, "and you will leave." "You think this ends here?" Lord Russell hissed. "You think society will forgive her for spending the night under your roof?" "I am not seeking forgiveness," Harry replied. "I am offering protection." The door closed moments later with a final, decisive sound. Yvonne's legs finally gave way. She sank onto the steps, shaking, tears spilling freely now that no one demanded she hold them back. Harry looked up at her. In 2 strides, he was at her side, stopping short of touching her until she nodded. Then his hand rested lightly on her shoulder. "He will not hurt you again," he said. She laughed weakly. "You do not know him." "I know men like him," Harry replied. "And they only have power as long as fear feeds it." Over the following days, Kendall House became something Yvonne had never known. Quiet without tension. Order without cruelty. Kindness without cost. Mrs. Graves tended her with firm gentleness, scolding her softly for apologizing too much. Dr. Whitmore confirmed cracked ribs and deep bruising, his expression grave but respectful. "Time," he said, "and rest, and safety." Safety. The word felt unreal. Harry did not hover, but he was always there, reading by the fire when she woke from nightmares. Walking beside her when she was strong enough to leave her room, asking before touching, always asking. One afternoon she wandered into the library and stopped short. The room was vast and alive. Books filled every wall, worn and loved, chairs angled toward sunlight, a ladder waiting to be climbed. Harry looked up from his chair and smiled, softer than she had ever seen him smile in public. "Welcome," he said. "This is where I hide." She ran her fingers along a shelf. "My father never allowed novels or poetry." "Then you will enjoy them here," Harry said. "All of them." They spoke of books and music and small, unimportant things that felt suddenly precious. And slowly, almost without noticing, Yvonne began to breathe differently, freely. Until the papers arrived. Harry saw them first. He tried to shield her, but she insisted. She always insisted on knowing what awaited her. The headlines were cruel. Fallen lady, compromised innocence, ambitious girl traps duke. Her father's version of events had spread like poison. Yvonne stared at the ink-stained pages until the words blurred. "This is my fault," she whispered. Harry knelt beside her chair. "No, this is the cost of standing up to cruelty." "There is only one way society forgives women like me," she said quietly. "Marriage." Harry closed his eyes briefly. "I will never force that choice on you." Silence stretched between them. Then Yvonne straightened. "No," she said, "we will not let him win." Harry looked up sharply. "We announce an engagement," she continued, "but we also gather proof. Quietly. Records, Testimony. If he ever raises his hand again, he loses everything. Harry studied her with something like awe. You want to fight him. I want to end him, she said calmly, without becoming him. The engagement was announced the next morning. Society buzzed. Speculation turned cautious. The narrative shifted just enough. At the Duchess of Hartwell's masquerade ball weeks later, Yvonne returned to society on Harry's arm, masked. Steady. Her father found her on the terrace. Old fear rose, but it did not rule her. No, she said when he tried to command her. Harry arrived before the situation could turn violent. This time, Yvonne did not hide behind him. She stood beside him. And when her father was escorted away, something inside her finally broke free. That night, as she danced beneath chandeliers once more,